So guys, we are now looking into the screen of the IntelliJ. Here we have implemented the code, whatever we have shown. And so let's start from the beginning. We are importing the IO package. The IO package is the input output package which contains the buffered reader class. And here we are using the buffered reader to take the console input. So you can see we have the instance variables, the accession number, the title, and the author. These three are the instance members or the instance variables that specify the state of an object. If you remember the object oriented programming concepts, the object consists of state and behavior. The state is the properties or the instance variables part, and the behavior is being defined by the member methods. So the member method starts from here. This is the first method, the void input, that was needed to take the input, console input, and store the accession number, title, and author. So just as we did, we have used buffer reader. So wherever buffer reader would be used, so we have to use this throws IOE exception, IO exception, input output exception, because whenever readline method is being used, so that means we are reading a stream of data from the terminal window as a stream, and in that process there might be some errors that are occurring in the runtime. So in order to inform the compiler that our code might throw this type of exception, that's why we have to use this line, throws IO exception. This is an explicit declaration for the compiler to understand that this method void input might throw an exception. It might throw, it will throw, not it will throw, that is not guaranteed, it might throw. Okay, so that's why we have to mention that. That's actually the syntax. Means if I don't keep that, then you see there would be an error. You see this is covered with red. That means we have to add that exception in the method signature. This first line is called the method signature. So we have to add throws IO exception in the method signature if we are using buffered reader. If you are using scanner class, no problem, well and good, you can just use that without any declaration of the exception in the method signature. So what we are doing, we are giving a prompt to the user that please enter the accession number, title, and author, and then we are taking the input. So as I said, integer.parseInt method is actually responsible for converting the string that we get by the readline method. The readline method actually reads a line from the console window and returns that as a string. If you see the return type is string. Okay, it reads a line of text from the terminal window and then it returns as a string. That string is being converted into integer with the help of parseInt method of integer wrapper class. This is a wrapper class. Integer class wraps up a value of the primitive data type in an object. So all the specific methods that are required to manipulate, organize, and rearrange int data types, primitive data type int, those methods are written inside this class, which is called the integer wrapper class. It's wrapper class. Okay, so after taking input, the accession number, we are taking the title of the book, and we are also taking the author of the book. So these are strings, so we are directly taking r dot readline, and the string that is being returned by readline method, that we are directly assigning to title and author. So that was the task of the void input method. Now let's look over to void compute. Void compute method is also taking one input, that is the number of days let find. So for that we have to take the buffer reader object. So we have initialized the buffer reader object, and then here we also have to mention the throws IO exception declaration, because here also we are using the readline method. So we have to explicitly declare in the method signature, just as we do it for the input method. Now here we are taking the input of the days of let find. So we are also giving a prompt to the user that please enter the days of let find, and then we are taking that let find as an input. So here also we are reading as the line as a string, and then we are parsing that as an integer, and we are storing it in days. And as the question stated that the fine was 2 rupees per day, so that's why we have multiplied 2 with days, and then we have returned the fine, that the fine is this one. So this was the task of the compute method, to take the number of days as input and to compute the fine, and then we have to display that fine also in this method. So that was the task of the compute method. Now let's see what the display function was doing. The display function was supposed to print the details, the accession number, title and author, and below that respective details would be populated. It means below accession number, the accession number would come, below title, the title would come, below the author heading, the author would come. So that's why in the first statement, first println statement, I have used it to print the headings, okay, separated by two backslash t. Just as I mentioned while explaining, if you have missed that, please rewind back and watch that. Backslash t was actually meant for five spaces, consecutive spaces. So two backslash t means 10 spaces in between. So that would give some spacing between the columns. If it does not work, then we have to adjust by some spaces. So that would we would check in during the runtime while it's executing. So here just we are displaying the details. So that was the task of the display method. And in this println statement for the line number 33, you can see the respective variables, the accession number, the title. These are the instance members. If you remember, we have considered, I have initialized the instance members in the beginning only, right? We have initialized that with the values in the input method, but we have declared that, rather we can say that we have declared that in the beginning. So those are the instance variables that we are using in the compute method. We are using the fine we are using sorry we are using that in the input method to store, and we are using them to print the details. We are printing the respective details, the account number, title and author in the display function, right? So we are completed with these three functions that were stated, but there was also an extra part that we have to create a main method where we have to create an object of the mobile class, and we have to call the functions in order to execute the code. So here we have created the object with the help of new keyword. Now let's explain what new keyword does. New keyword is used to create an object or an array of a particular data type. So here we are creating the object of a class. The data type of that class is a mobile type. We know that class is a user defined data type. This is a very popular question, that why class is called a user defined data type, because a class in itself has instance members and its own properties, like they are the state, right? It can be a composed data type, means we are composing this data type. Mobile type has these following variables inside. That means it's a combination of integer, string and string. So it is composed of many data types. So it is a user defined data type. I am a user, I have defined this data type mobile, which contains a combination of some other data types. So here we have combined integer and two strings combined together to form a data type. So class is itself a user defined data type. It is a composite data type, and we are creating a object. So the syntax for creating the object is use the new keyword and the data type. Okay, so that we have used. So this line will invoke the constructor. Since we don't have any constructor in this class, the default constructor would be invoked by the compiler, and an object would be created. And an object would be created means the object would have the copies, account number, title, author and the member methods in it, its own copy. We are referring that object and calling that method, that behavior of that object m. Or m is just the variable name. So that object's input method would be invoked first, then the compute method would be invoked, then the display method would invoke sequentially. Line number 39 would be executed first, then line number 40 would be executed, then line number 41 would be executed. Okay, so this is the overall flow and explanation of this code. Let's run that code and see how the output looks like. Okay, so here we are in the prompt. See, since we have the first line was dem.input, so the input function got invoked. The input function had this line, enter the accession number, title and author. So we are supposed to enter the accession number, title and author. Let's put the accession number, and now we would put the title, like suppose this is the title of the book, and then the author of the book is suppose KL. So we have entered these three things. So when we press the enter, then this account number would be stored. The first line would be read and stored in account number. The second line would be stored in title. The third line would be stored in authors. Okay, don't mind, I have just mistyped this one. Okay, please ignore my printing typing mistake. So now this prompt is coming, right? So from where it's coming? It's coming from this method, void compute method. This line is being executed because if you remember in this line number 40, I have again I have invoked the compute method, right? From there it's being called. So we have to enter the let find. Suppose my let find is 7, so 7 to the 14, 14 would be my fine that is charged, and accession number, title and author gets printed. This is coming from the display method. Since I have invoked display method, so from after computing the fine, it's again going to the display method and this details is being printed. So see, first the accession number, then the title of the book, then the author is coming. So there, see, the orientation is little bit different, so we can adjust that with the help of some space. If we give some more space in the accession number here, after the accession number, suppose I give so let's give another backslash t here, and this one also backslash t in the above, and then I think it would work. Let's run. However, the when functionality is working, just the space is mattering, so that's not a big deal. Okay, then the title of the book. The fine is 14, and then the accession number, the title and the author is being printed. So okay, so here we are with the execution of the program and it's working fine. And now we are ready to go to the next program. So these are one of the very important questions that come in the exam. So how to do, I have already explained that you have to do step by step. Make sure that you are not mistyping the name of the instance variables and the class, and you are executing the same way the it's told in the question. Okay, best of luck and meet you in the next video. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe this channel